So here's another good tip for you. When you're hiking, backpacking, fishing, canoeing, kayaking, always take you a good lunch. Gives you something to look forward to. When you start running out of energy level starts getting low, you always have a good lunch. And I'm going to start it out with some delicious tomatoes. That's why you always want to have waterproof boots on when it's chilly in the fall, winter, or spring. Could have got my feet all wet just then. Yeah, when you're out on the beach, all it takes is for one little grain of sand to get into your food, and your teeth will crunch it, and then it'll turn it into a lot of little pieces, and it just, I don't know. To me, it can almost ruin a good dinner or a good lunch. You know, that dog of mine, Sammy, used to come down here with me. And I mean, he would eat something, it would be covered with sand. He'd eat it and wouldn't care. Didn't bother him at all. But anyways, yeah, I learned that little tip about the sand. My mom grew up in Gary, Indiana, and that's where I was born, Gary, Indiana. So we'd go to the Indiana dunes all the time, and man, you learn fast because as a kid, you don't care. After a while, you learn it ain't cool to have sand in your sandwich and on your apple and on your orange and on your candy. So you kind of learn to just not let sand get everywhere. It's a good tip for you. Man, these are good tomatoes. Wow. I might eat this whole thing. These are good. Good tomatoes. Decided to have lunch underneath my favorite surviving tree. As I was eating, I got to talking to it and asked it, how much longer does it think it's got before eventually it's going to tumble into the lake? Then that got me to thinking, we're all kind of like that, aren't we? Time's ticking. How much longer do we have? Whether you're young, old, in between, doesn't matter. Time is ticking. Moral of that story is, get out there and do what you'd like. Hey, Mr. Flyboy, how much time you got left? That's one of those sable flies right there. How much time? My advice, get out there and do what you like to do. It's just like my buddy the tree here. It'll all come to an end someday for us all. But I don't want to bring anybody down now. Don't get upset. Don't be depressed about it because, hey, you're watching this video. That means you're doing okay. That means get out there and do what you can do. You want to hike this lake? You want to hike 12 Mile Beach? There it is. There it is for you right there. Get on out there. Can't make it this year. The weather's going to turn bad. Put it on your calendar for next year. Just make sure you enjoy what you're doing. That's important. All right, Mr. Tree. You hang in there, and I will have lunch with you next year. How's that set? We'll make it a date, a lunch date. Cool? Cool. I had 10 days scheduled on the beach. I said, it looks to me like starting tomorrow late afternoon, it's going to start raining. It's going to get really cold, down in the 40s, in the mid 30s at night, and it's going to rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe even into Sunday. Not a steady rain, but just a good chance. Dang sable flies are coming out. It's getting so warm. I'll probably go ahead and get everything loaded up by tomorrow evening, spend tomorrow night, and then wake up on Thursday and start making my way back home. It's an 800-mile plus journey back home. If it's going to get really cold and it's going to get rainy, you know, I'm just going to trade these next 5 days for something else. And I'll either find some way on the way home to stop and do some filming on the way home, all kind of things. This country's so big, you could almost stop every hour and film something. I may try to come up here sometime in the winter. I think it'd be pretty cool to see everything frozen and under snow. I think that's a good plan for me to work my way back home and to drop back, punt, and see what the next 5 days brings. Yeah, I was just thinking, cool thing when you take trips like this, you're backpacking and hiking, you know, you stop and take a break for lunch. You take a break as long as you want. It can be a lunch hour, it can be a lunch 15 minutes, it can be a lunch 2 hours. There's another tip for backpacking. I've backpacked an awful lot, and there's been times when I got into that, you know, I want to do 20 miles every day, 20 miles, schedule my shelter, 20 miles, camp, 20 miles, 15 to 20 anyways. Anymore, I don't care. If I do 2 miles, I'm fine. So the lesson there, I think, is don't schedule too much distance because you end up trying to push it so hard it becomes a job. You're out here to enjoy. If you walk 2 miles on the Appalachian Trail and stopped and took the afternoon and sat in the sun and watched the trees and the birds and the animals, hey, you're doing just right. So anyways, there you go. Another little tip for you, backpacking. Eat my swirled cheese if I can get it open. I mentioned earlier when we started to hike, I like watching the clouds. Check out those streamers up there. That's a sign of some high winds right there to make streamers like that. That's also coming in from the northwest. That's the very beginning of this cold air that's going to come in from Canada. It's going to blow in. And I can see a pretty good cloud bank out there. And that cloud bank just might be where the warm air and the cool air is hitting. But isn't that pretty? Look at those clouds. That's why you want to take more than a lunch hour. You want to be able to watch stuff like this. Yeah, that's what's going on right there. That's it coming in. Tell you what, that's some pretty good cheese right there. That's Kraft. Kind of reminds me of the cheese I had in Madison, Wisconsin at the farmer's market. It doesn't quite squeak, but it's that kind of quality. It's pretty good cheese. Yeah, watching that weather pattern up there just reminded me, my daughter-in-law to be, Mariah, her absolutely good guy boyfriend, Trey, he is a good guy. I like him a lot. He thought about maybe coming up here with me. And I tell you what, and he's a weather guy. He loves weather. So Trey, there you go. You could be sitting right here watching this pattern come in and watching this thing turn from high 60s down into the low 40s by tomorrow. Yeah, that's what it's about. Trey, I hope you and Mariah's doing okay. And I'll be talking to you next time I see you. I wanted to show you this. I'm almost done with lunch. This is one of the last things except for a banana I brought. But this right here is, see if you can see inside there. I didn't bring enough containers to store everything. So this is a homemade chocolate chip cookie and it's a homemade muffin. And I dumped a bunch of sea salt pecans in there. And that way there, I figured, heck, that'd make a pretty good recipe right there. But yeah, not worried about it. I talked about earlier, this is all the keto health, low carbos. I think the muffin has 2 carbs in it, the cookie has 1, and the pecans, very few at all, if any. That's how you do it. Just throw it all in a bag and you'll enjoy it for lunch. Yeah, one thing I find interesting about this beach is this is literally the land border of the United States of America. Now, the actual border is about 80 miles straight out. Probably about where the horizon is, I'd say, or maybe farther than that. I'm not sure. When you look out across a body of water, how far that horizon is right there. Hey, if you know, put it in the comments. I don't know. But this is the land border of the United States of America, right where I'm on right here. And what's interesting, if you think about it, if America was ever attacked, now, I'm not talking about we're not going to be attacked by the Canadians. They're good people, and I love my northern brothers and sisters. But let's say for some reason somebody came on top of them from the far north, across the ice shield, attacked them, and now they're setting up forces to come on us. I can imagine, my imagination could easily run into Humvees, tanks, missile launchers, drones, aircraft flying by. This is where we would take our last stand. This is the border. And I can even see having nuclear submarines out there. Maybe they're out there right now. I don't know. What made me think of that is because you don't see any jet traffic here at all when you look up in the sky. But every once in a while, just then, you'll see a fighter. And it's got to be a fighter jet, because it's going super, super fast, and they go across the sky, and they're gone. And whatever way they're heading, that way, whatever direction that is northwest across the border here. So they all the time they're heading that way, and maybe that's just an intercontinental flight. Now I do see one over here flying. And I'm not sure what that is. I'm going to see if I can capture it. I talked about bringing my hiking stick, my custom hiking stick that I made, and I bring here and hike up and down. As my YouTube business grows, I have found that a tripod is so important to have. I was getting ready to leave and I decided, you know what? It's more important for me to be carrying that tripod than it is that walking stick. I could take the tripod and put it in my backpack, but that's like putting a camera in your backpack. If you're hiking along and your camera is in your backpack, guess what? You're going to lose a lot of shots because you're not going to want to take the time to stop each time, get it out, photograph, and put it back. Walking stick, had to stay back at camp, it's guarding the camp, and the tripod came along. Hello, tripod. That's the way it goes. Part of being a YouTube creator. Man, I love it. All right, that was a pretty good lunch. I guarantee that was longer than a lunch hour. No doubt. But well worth it. I just created myself a lifetime memory. I'll always remember having lunch right here, right beneath my friend, the big leaning tree. Buddy, I hope you last another 100 years. I guess I need to make my way on down the beach, back to camp. Hey, I appreciate you coming by today, and I appreciate you taking the hike with me. Thank you for coming to the channel. It's LAF Space Film Fest, capital LAF Space Film Fest. Hammer down that subscribe button if you would, please. All day, I saw one guy, and that's my buddy from Germany. Kind of surprised to even see him out here. That concludes our hike down 12 Mile Beach. Well, I appreciate you coming along. I'm guessing that was probably, maybe a 6 or 7 mile hike. Of course, it took me a lot longer. As you can see how much I piddled. But hey, that's what I'm out here for. Piddle, piddle. I see my camp coming up. I'm gonna get back, take a little break, kind of start loading stuff up on the 2004 Pontiac Montana for the trek home on Thursday. I'll be interested to see what that military jet was going over. It looked military to me. Sure going fast and never heard the sound of it. Maybe tomorrow we'll break out the canoe and try to do a little fishing. Thinking about a lake called North Gemini Lake. See if I can't catch a few smallmouth bass. Thanks for coming along. And you have a good day.